The future is going to be wild. Well, hello and welcome back to The Commonplace. My name is Autumn Kern and I am the owner now of a brand new dumb phone. Doot, doot. Do you remember that? I remember that. This is not the fancy kind. They're very cool, hip, minimal, like super chic dumb phones now. This is the $20 type from Target. And today I want to talk about why I am holding this, because I have a classical take on the idea of a dumb phone. And the Commonplace content, if you don't know, I am primarily a podcast, and I started these videos as a complementary resource to what I was doing in formally teaching through the podcast about classical Charlotte Mason pedagogy and methods and the philosophy behind why we do what we do. And I started these to kind of be like a practical, fun, more laid back way to help people connect those principles to ordinary life. And that is still what I'm going to be doing, but the podcast is about to finish up this week, actually. It's our final big episode. And with that, it means I'm going on break. And so I'm going to be talking about still classical principles and how they apply in ordinary life over here, but we're going to be doing a couple of new things. And one of those is an experiment. So my iPhone is up in a cabinet in my kitchen, SIM card out and everything, but I'm not just giving it up. I'm not sure what's gonna happen at the end of this. This is an experiment, probably about 6 months worth of an experiment. And I am going to be using this phone. And I wanna talk about why, because I've noticed that there are probably like 3 categories for why people are giving up their smartphones. I actually do think this is going to continue, kind of like Dwight Schrute, waiting for the internet fad to end. Even though, yes, I am here with you on the internet, I know. And with those 3, I don't really have those reasons. If you hear them and you're like, yeah, that's me right now, that's what most of the YouTube content that I've found about moving down to a smartphone or to a dumb phone from a smartphone has been about. And so there's plenty to watch for that. And I kind of want to take a different angle here. Those 3 reasons though, typically are, I spend too much time on social media, I'm addicted to my phone. I'm always just scrolling something, doesn't matter what. It could be my email, it could be the weather. I'm just always on it and I'm missing out on life in front of me. Or number 3, the things we kind of all know. Like if you take stock of our generation right now, since we are the, we've had enough time to maybe see the impact. And if you ask, are we happier? Are we more connected? And are we smarter having these tiny computers with access to all the information that has ever been known in the entire history of the world in our back pockets? Are those things true? The answer is no. We know that. We know our phones are changing us and probably not for the better, which is why so many parents are like, my kids can't have a smartphone, but we still have them. So those are kind of the normal reasons. And I don't have those problems. I think I've been through many iterations. I've wanted to have a dumb phone for about 2 years now. My friends are probably, I think when they start to notice my bubbles are green when I text them back, and my texts are very short now. But I think they'll notice like, oh, she finally did it. Finally, she'll stop talking about it. But I've already gone through a lot of that. Social media has no glimmer and glitz for me. I don't care to be on it. I only look at it on my desktop. If you are struggling with that, let me recommend Cal Newport's book, Digital Minimalism, which was amazing for realizing how do you use the different tech in your life. It could be for good, but put very specific parameters around how and when you use those things. And so I've already kind of worked through that. So social media, if you follow me on The Commonplace, which please do, it's a highlight hub. And it's literally an announcement hub. I will tell you, I will only post if the podcast goes live, and I will usually, like 98% of the time, only post a story if I have a new resource or video. That's the only way I use it. And so that's not really my thing. Looking at the phone all the time, no. Again, I have set times when I use it, because yes, I do use the technology, but it didn't seem like it was really taking over my life. Third one, yeah, sure, I know those things are true and that the phones are changing us. I'm actually gonna put this phone down so I stop waving it around here. But what I wanna talk about specifically, to build into that whole entire intro, are a couple of questions I have that I would say are classical questions. And whenever I say classical, I need to define that. I am asking 3 questions in almost everything. What is a person? How are we formed? And to what end are we to aim? What is the telos or the telos of a person? Why do we exist? And I say those are my questions because they help you understand that there is a philosophy behind everything. It doesn't matter if you're talking about education, Montessori, Waldorf, public, they all have answers to those questions. And when we think about Christian liberty, whether again it be for education or something like using technology, the way the world uses it, we need to ask those questions because God does have answers to those questions. He has made his world make sense. We can make sense of it. We have the Holy Scriptures, and you don't have Christian liberty to just do whatever. The answers to those questions that exist in those philosophies must be in line with what God says is true, good, and beautiful. And that's why I'm always bringing those questions up, because I think they're helpful. So to that end, with this experiment, a couple of things that I want to explore. I don't have answers today. I'm just going to keep updating you every couple weeks, maybe once a month or something. But the questions I have are in 2 parts. The first is, I think that we do cultivate and prioritize convenience. I think we love ease. I think we love speed. I think we love the idea of making things easier and faster for ourselves. Should convenience ever be a priority though? So here's the thing. I think that we keep company with machines now. And I know most people are thinking my children are not machines, my husband is not a robot man. Well, not yet, but that could very well be coming down the line. What I mean is that we use machines to make everything in our life more convenient. That is something we can do with technology. There are benefits to the fact that I can sign my kids up for soccer while ordering my groceries from Whole Foods and making sure I set that Target order for the diapers that we need. That does give me a feeling of being accomplished and getting a lot done, and even managing a lot of the needs in my home. But the underlying question that I have there is, what is it forming me to? Because when I spend my company with machines, whether that be with my computer, with this camera, or with my phone, I am learning to react in God's world to things as if they were machines. And convenience is great, except that people are not convenient. And if you are a mother, you know what I mean. Your kids will always poop or need to poop right after you put them in their snow gear. They will wake you up in the middle of the night. They will interrupt you when you're in the middle of a thought. People, relationships, life to life, full on three-dimensional embodied living is not convenient. And I have a question in the back of my head about if this is making motherhood particularly harder for us to actually do. Are we less creative, less tuned into problem solving, less aware of what's going on around us, including both our enjoyment and the difficulties, because we are used to keeping company with machines. And by cultivating that love of convenience, we are making it harder in the things that are inconvenient, which are going to be, yes, real personal relationships. Now, the second thing is a lie that is quite old. In fact, I do believe people have been thinking it since the Garden of Eden. We have always wanted to be like God in the ways that we are not like God. And I have a sneaky feeling that things like, not this phone, definitely not this phone, but other phones, the smart ones, help us believe that we are omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. All things that we are not. We have human limitations. And so I don't think the question is, can we live outside of those? Because yes, we can. 100% with the technologies available to us, we can live outside of normal patterned limitations that have actually helped form people in more natural image bearer type ways, and we can completely fly through those now. So we really need to ask the normative question, which is a classical thing to do, of should we do those? Just because they're available, is it good for us to be a part of it? I can pretend that while I am making coffee, I am also standing in Whole Foods picking out my groceries. While my kids need something or a lot of things are thrown at me on my calendar, I think that I can just handle it all from a couple swipes on my phone. I can take care of a to-do list that really shouldn't be done so quickly because I'm never fully engaged in any part of it. There are things about having a small, powerful, tiny computer available to me at all times in my back pocket that I do not think are forming me in the right ways, because I don't want to cultivate the lie that I am like God in ways that I am not. And I'm not saying that using the phone is doing that, but that is my question, one of them in this experiment. And so if you are curious about these things, please go ahead, subscribe, follow along. I'll just update you regularly. And I think it'll be a really fun experiment. I definitely have some funny things already, like the fact that my children cannot pick what song they want right when they want it in the car was shocking to them when I told them the phone doesn't do that anymore. And there are little things like that where it seems harmless, but that has kind of made my children a little entitled when it comes to car rides. I've realized I didn't know that because we hadn't seen what it was like without that, but now I know they actually are quite demanding when it comes to their music, and maybe it's good that they can no longer pick it, and maybe it's good that I can no longer pick it. And so as we continue to submit ourselves to more ordinary, I would say natural patterns of life that do answer those questions, what is a person, how are we formed, and to what end are we aiming, in a more whole person sense as we give better answers, I'm excited to see what happens. And I do want to say, a note from Wendell Berry, I understand that I still have a computer, right? Like I can still go and place that grocery order if I want to, but I am not making the habits I don't want to cultivate any easier. I'm making them more difficult. And as Wendell Berry has said, you cannot draw a perfect line with your ideals. It's impossible. However, you can draw a line somewhere. And this is the line I want to draw for the first half of this year. So I hope you'll follow along. I'll be back with you later this week with our final surprise interview guest for the season, one of my favorite teachers. I hope to see you then.